Welcome to the Kingdom Corner. I'm Andrew, and with me, as always, is my good friend, Mr. Dale Baker. Hey, AFC champions again, my man.
Man, are we gonna have to change the Arrowhead Invitational? We have to change the Super Bowl. Is it the Chief Bowl?
Hey,
Uh, too, because I mean, like,
hey,
we are living the dream right now. But
man, made it to the Super Bowl in 5 of the last 7 years. I heard on the radio last night after the game, they were saying that makes about 70, I forget the exact percent, but 70-some% for Patrick Mahomes in his career. He makes the Super Bowl. I
yeah,
mean,
yeah,
that is
that
incredible. Incredible.
that is insane. And so again, Chiefs fans, we should never get used to winning. We have been through lean years, and so let's enjoy each and every Super Bowl, each and every moment that Patrick Mahomes and the team brings us. I mean, my goodness. So yeah, this is crazy.
That's right. All right. So today we're going to be breaking down this AFC Championship matchup against the Buffalo Bills. But before any of that, hey, make sure you like, subscribe, leave a comment and review. That helps us so much. And man, we love you for it. So let's interact. Let's get to know you. And we want you to get to know us too. So let's comment and share and do all those fun things. But today we're going to be breaking down the AFC Championship game. Maybe looking forward a little bit to the Eagles, but most of that's going to be coming later. So here's a question for you: Is the debate between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes over? I mean, is Sean McDermott, is his job in trouble even?
Man.
Can the Chiefs continue this offensive performance into the Super Bowl? And man, is Xavier Worthy now a bona fide superstar in the NFL? So all that and more coming up. So come hang out with us.
Mahomes looks to throw it. Pump faking right side. He wants it. A comeback cut. It is caught by Kelsey. Touchdown! Kansas City. The game is over. The Kansas City Chiefs are champions.
How about those Chiefs?
All right, Dale. So, I mean, the first thing we have to ask is the debate that's been going on for years now. Is the Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes debate, is it dead, or is this still something we're going to be hearing for years to come?
We'll still be hearing it for years to come. I mean, you and I, the debate is dead. I mean, 4 times in the playoffs. Congratulations, you beat us in the regular season, where it does not matter. I mean, I guess it matters for seeding and stuff like that, but that has really never really they've never really affected us in that way. Besides last year where we had to play them on the road, and oh yeah, we beat them on the road.
That's right.
So it doesn't matter, or does Andy just have Sean McDermott's number, and his coaching number, and then Pat Mahomes having Josh Allen's number? I mean, it seems when you need the biggest plays, one guy shows up and the other does not.
Yeah.
So,
Well, there's only been two people who have ever beaten Patrick Mahomes and his Chiefs-led offense in the postseason, and that's Tom Brady, who beat him twice, which we're not going to talk about all this because that's history. But
it's
and Joe Burrow got us once in
yeah,
overtime. So the
yeah,
shortest Mahomes has ever come in his career as a starter is overtime of the AFC Championship game.
yeah.
So that is the shortest season of his career so far. And so all that to say is I heard this interesting thought is, in 20 years or however long it is, when some of these guys start retiring, you're going to see
Uh-huh.
guys like Josh Allen and maybe a Joe Burrow, maybe a Lamar Jackson. I mean, we don't know the longevity of these guys' career and what it's going to be like, but it's possible we're going to see these guys get in a gold jacket and they're going to be like, oh yeah, they did all these things, but they have no Super Bowl titles. And people are going to be like,
Man,
how in the world does a guy like this not have any Super Bowls? And they're like, well, they were unfortunate enough to play in the Patrick Mahomes era.
yeah,
And so it's kind of like, and the guy who I heard saying this was comparing it to Michael Jordan, right? The Michael Jordan
yeah.
comparison to Charles Barkley, who is a fantastic player, great teams, but can never get past Michael Jordan because Michael Jordan was still playing.
Yeah. Karl Malone. Yeah. And
Yeah.
so, I mean, I just think like a lot of those guys that were playing the Seattle Supersonics, they should have won. It's just like
Yeah.
a lot of those
John,
guys should have won an NBA championship, but didn't because of the Jordan. And so I think it's same with Mahomes. I don't know if we will continue the success. I hope we do. But it's super hard to win in the NFL. I mean, a lot of things. I mean, like one of the big things I think for the Chiefs is the health. Their health. They're healthy right now.
yeah. Yeah.
And that is a big difference in what's going on. But yeah, I think it's a lot of chips have to fall in the right way. I think that's what makes it so impressive for the Kansas City Chiefs to do what they're doing is because, yeah, it's different guys every year. It's not the same team. It's never the exact same team. and they just keep winning. And you get players that are getting older, like Travis Kelce, D Hop, they're just not the same as they were 3 years ago, or even a year ago. And so, to continue the success is just remarkable. And so there's one constant factor is Mahomes.
Yeah.
And
Well,
Andy Reid.
And even those guys like Travis Kelce and D Hop, even though they're, longtime veterans in the NFL at this point, they're still getting double coverage. Like even DeAndre Hopkins, who doesn't get many targets, the safety is still cheating over to his side. I mean, you just watch the game, and they're still cheating to DeAndre Hopkins and Travis Kelce. Like, as old as those guys are, they know the potential of those two guys. And so, luckily for us, we have other superstars and guys on the team who are playmakers who can make plays. And so, I think the debate between Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes should be over at this point. If you're 0-4 in your career in the playoffs against one player, which has never happened before in the NFL history, to be 0-4 against a single team for one player. But now we're at that point where Josh Allen has never won a game in 4 tries against the Chiefs in the playoffs. And so if he would have won, last night, maybe there could be a debate, because then, you in one more, you're that close to being even tied with him. But now, I mean, you got to win 4 just to tie. So there's a lot of guys who never played that many times in the playoffs in their career.
Right.
And here we are, playing 4 times in, 5 or 6 years or however long it's been. So I think the debate is dead. I'm sure some people will try to continue it, but I think that just proves, regular season, sure, good luck, maybe the Chiefs are just trying things and not showing their full cards until the playoffs. And then the playoffs come, and yes, they're close games, but yes, only one team knows how to finish those close games, it seems like.
That's exactly right. And I think, week 3, week 4, we'll hear, is Josh Allen the best quarterback in the NFL? And so next year.
Well, and he might even win the MVP this year. So Patrick Mahomes is not going to win it this year.
Nope.
But it's probably going to be Lamar Jackson or Josh Allen or maybe even Saquon Barkley, but typically it goes to a quarterback. So,
so can you imagine, guys. Can you imagine if Lamar wins it, Josh just got beat in the playoffs, he walks away from the season with nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing.
Tough.
Hey,
life of the NFL.
Be better, I guess.
Yeah. Hey, one of the great things, and probably one of the reasons why we haven't seen many people even attempt a three-peat, is because of how the NFL has all this set up.
Right.
They have it set up to make even the small market teams versus the big market teams, to make them competitive against each other, so you don't just have a baseball monopoly where for the most part you're going to have one of 5 teams that are going to win it, and maybe once every 10 years another team will sneak in there, but for the most part it's going to be one of these 5 teams. And that's what makes the NFL so great, and what makes the Chiefs able to be and do what they've been doing these last few years is because of how the NFL set this up to make it competitive for all the teams. So but let's talk more about this game. So the Chiefs defense, I mean, they started out great the game. This forced a 3 and out to start this game. Chiefs go down, score a touchdown, and you're thinking, wow, the Chiefs might actually pull away with this thing. And as the game progressed, you could see that the rushing numbers and the rush defense for the Chiefs, not so great.
No.
So, James Cook had 85 rushing yards, which surprised me he didn't break 100. Josh Allen had 39. Ty Johnson had 19. Ray Davis had 4. So there was a lot of yards and potential points given up by all those things, but luckily the Chiefs were able to hold them and keep them to 147 rushing yards. So not necessarily great.
No, not necessarily great, but just enough, right? They kept them just enough.
That's right.
And I think I know James Cook can get to the big one. He can run off a big one, but I feel like Josh Allen with his arm is more dangerous than James Cook and getting a big one. And we saw that in this game. And so I was okay with them just continue to run, because I felt like one of the things that the Bills did all year was they were very balanced. They would run, they throw, but it seemed like they relied heavily, especially in the second half, on the running game. And they were being efficient. They were getting through, So, it was working. But, I just felt like then they got out of sorts when they needed to pass, I think. So it worked out
Yeah.
in our favor. But yes, I was impressed. I mean, just how even this game was, with time of possession, with time with the ball, with first downs, with total yards. Like the average yards per play, Bills was 5.5, Chiefs was 5.8. So I mean, like it was it's wild how you know even these teams were, and then I think the better team won, right?
Yeah. Yeah. And let's not be too hard on the Bills either. Not that I'm a fan, but they do have a great team and played a great game too. So,
Yeah,
I mean, hats off to them for making it to the AFC Championship game. Only 4 teams
right.
in the NFL make it. So,
Yeah, but yeah,
hats.
so
But yes, the run defense was suspect for a while,
oh
but
yeah,
when they needed to step up, they stepped up. I
yeah,
mean, they stopped them on 2-point conversions. They stopped them twice on 4th and 1, trying to do a quarterback sneak again and again and again. And
yeah,
they got it a few times, but when the Chiefs really needed to stop, the Chiefs defense stepped up and got a
yeah.
stop.
The best situational defense in the league.
Man, you're not joking about that. They sit there and make you stress and pull your hair out like, what are we
Yeah,
doing? And then, 5, 6, 7 plays later, they're getting a
yeah,
key stop to win the game. So
yeah. And Chris
incredible.
Jones all of a sudden's in the backfield, or a corner's coming off on a blitz. It's just like, yeah, in
Yeah.
Spags we trust, man. We've always been a pro Spags podcast.
Yep. At least one of us. So absolutely.
Never a doubt. I do think I do think I remember calling for his job. When you get this,
Yes, you for sure were. For sure. I can verify that you were calling for his job, saying, what are we doing with this guy?
we need to get
And
this bum out of here.
hey, and now we're just hoping that he doesn't leave, right? So
Right.
I'm glad to
Yeah.
see all these coordinator and not coordinator, these head coaching positions being
Oh
filled,
yeah.
because it seems like Spags might be with us for at least another year. So I think eventually he's probably going to get a shot as another head coach, but
Yeah.
I'm hoping it's not quite yet. Not
Yeah.
quite yet. So
Yeah. Yeah. We'll keep him a couple more years, maybe like a decade, another decade.
yeah. So we talked about leading up to this game. We said, the Bills, what they've been doing so well is being playing the game that the Chiefs have been playing this year, where,
Mm-hmm.
you're not turning the ball over. You're trying to force the other team to make mistakes and all these things. And said, man, if the Bills play that, that's their best chance to win. When
Yeah.
Josh Allen tries to create too much, not saying he can't create, he should create, but when he
Yeah.
tries to create too much, he tries to, be, the superhero, so to speak.
Uh-huh.
He tries to force it, tries to do whatever, extend a play, and usually ends up fumbling the ball or throwing an interception. And for the most part, the Bills played a clean game. I know that the Chiefs forced a few fumbles, but they all were fortunate for the Bills to bounce directly back to the
Yeah.
Bills player, typically the one who fumbled it. And I mean, not one of those bounced the way for the Chiefs, but that's just how it
Right.
works sometimes. And so the Bills, for the most part, played a clean game. The Chiefs had a turnover in the first half. I mean, I'm
Yeah.
not even sure what happened. Mahomes was trying to hand off to Pacheco, and the ball fumbled. Probably a little bit of both of their faults. And I even thought at the time, man, these kind of games, the AFC Championship games, you cannot be giving the ball away.
No,
And
yeah.
I mean, then the Bills go down, score a touchdown off of it, and make it a close game once again. And
Right.
I mean, those are the kind of plays that you cannot just you can't do and think you're going to win those games. And
Right.
the Chiefs were fortunate enough to still be able to pull out the victory in that.
Yeah. And that was I think there was 5 fumbles, and the Bills recovered all 5
Yeah,
of
I
the
believe
fumbles.
it.
And so that was wild. And yeah, I think, those big moments. Yeah, I think you got to be clean. Pat Mahomes did say in the press conference that he pulled it too late. It was an RPO, and he was going to pull it and throw it. And then he didn't. Him and Pacheco weren't on the same page on that. And so probably both their faults, feeling it's like one of those RPOs is just a feel thing. And so, yeah, they just miscommunication, and luckily it didn't cost us.
Yeah, well, and I said that if the Bills want to beat the Chiefs, they probably have to play a cleaner game, even with Josh Allen,
Yeah.
and that he can't be the superhero. But the same side, I don't know if if the Bills can beat the Chiefs if
Yeah.
Josh Allen doesn't try to put the cape on.
Right.
So it's a kind of double-edged sword. You have to take your chances. Like, well, he might be trying to force a few more things. He
Yeah.
might, give up a turnover here or there. But is that what you have to do to beat the Chiefs? And for the Bills' sake, I I think you kind of do for Josh Allen, and not
Right.
taking anything away from the Bills. Once again, they're a great team, but
Oh yeah.
it's just that Mahomes and the Chiefs in the playoffs are a different team,
Yeah.
and if you don't do something big to beat them, you're not going to beat them.
Yeah. And I think what makes it, I think, and I'm not like, again, not throwing shade at Josh. He's great. I mean, on that one play where he like scored from, he threw it to like Amari Cooper in the corner, he ran and like Amari Cooper pot tossed it. I mean, that was a fantastic play. But
Yeah,
I think like what makes the difference is Mahomes puts on the cape. But like when he puts on the cape, it's like a controlled situation. Like
yes,
he's in control of the situation. So like Josh yesterday, the 2 point conversion, he was wrapped up and he tried to toss it, or he did toss it to his like running back to score, but
yeah,
luckily the running back got hit. Like that's not a controlled situation. Like that
no,
is out of
no.
you are not in control of that situation. Yeah.
Because if the Chiefs pick that up, they can run that back for two, and then the
Yeah.
Chiefs take the lead instead of Buffalo going up by three.
Yeah.
And that's a game that was similar to what happened many years ago now, probably like 7 or 8 years ago, against
Uh-huh.
the Atlanta Falcons. The Falcons had scored at the end of the game. They're up by one. They're going for two to try to go up by three, and Eric Berry
The
intercepted
ball
it and
hawk.
ran back for, well, not for a touchdown, but for a 2 point conversion. The Chiefs win because of that right there.
Yeah.
And so is yeah, similar situation that could have ended very badly for the Bills.
Right. So yeah, I just say I think the difference is the when do you put the cape on for those situations, and so I think
Yeah.
Mahomes puts on when he makes those big runs, like he's like, hey, my ankle's about to fall off, but I'm going to run 40 yards down the field to get us a field goal range, right? Yeah. So I think it's the situational, and I think I know that's the second time I said that word, but I think the Chiefs are so good situational, and I think it has to do with the coaching. The coaching is so good at telling them when they need to do something big, and Pat feels it. So
Oh
yeah,
yeah. Well, and Josh Allen and Patrick Mahomes had the exact same amount of rushing attempts, but Patrick Mahomes actually had more rushing yards.
man,
And honestly, if you include the kneel down, you could probably say that he had less rushing attempts with more yards.
right.
So I mean, it's just about a 4 yard difference in rushing yards, but I mean, Mahomes had a more effective rushing game, which was surprising going into this game. You kind of
Right.
thought that Josh Allen's going to be the one to do that. And so to start the second half, I mean, the Bills, this is what surprised me. It surprises me, but not surprising me because the
Okay.
Bills started the second half and they started running the ball, and the Chiefs were struggling to stop it.
Oh
They
yeah.
just could not stop it. 16 plays in a row to start the second half. The Buffalo Bills ran the ball outside of one play where the Bills passed the ball, but it was a screen pass back behind the line of scrimmage, so it wasn't even down the field pass. And so in
Yeah.
those 16 plays, they didn't call any plays, not one, that was beyond the line of scrimmage. It was all handoffs
Hey.
and one, backward screen play.
Yeah.
So, and I was even saying from the stands there, I said, I can't believe that they're running this so much, but at the same time, if the Chiefs can't stop it, why would you stop running it too?
Right.
But looking back now, and I know hindsight's 2020,
Oh yeah.
as always. But man, is that a bad play call by Sean McDermott to run the ball that many times when you have Josh Allen and the strength of his arm?
Yeah. I mean, I think it gets him out. I think it gets Josh out of rhythm of the game when you're not passing, down the field, and you're throwing it behind you, or you're throwing it behind the line of scrimmage. You're just, I think I mean, football, basketball, all the sport, like a lot of sports are just rhythm games, and so if you're
Yeah.
just turning around, handing off, and then not do anything, where it's like, oh man, now I'm kind of out of rhythm. I haven't thrown the ball in a quarter. And man, that's tough. So yeah, I think it is. I think it was a big thing on coaching. I think that's again. I don't think Josh Allen lost this game for the Bills. I think the coaching lost this game for the Bills. And you mentioned it earlier. Like, what do you do if you're a Bills fan? Are you happy with Sean McDermott today?
Yeah. Oh man, great question. It's
Like, if
it's
you're a Bills fan, are you
well,
happy? Yeah.
I think this. Based on how their defense was supposed to look this year,
Uh
I'd say
huh.
their defense was greatly better than expected. But
Okay.
Sean McDermott is a defensive coach, right?
Yeah.
So
Right.
the question has always been the offensive play calling.
Uh
So I
huh.
don't know if this is on Sean McDermott. I don't know if he lets his offensive coordinator call these plays. I don't know
Yeah.
how their organization works in that way, and I haven't looked that much into it. But either way, something in that line has to change.
Right.
Whether that's Sean McDermott, I don't know, or whether it's the offensive coordinator, whatever the case may be, their play calling has got to improve. Because
Yeah.
if you're the Bills, at least you should know that you're not going to get past many of these games unless your play calling improves, because you can't run the ball 16 times in a row
Right.
when you're behind and expect to win the game, no matter what point of the game you're at.
And the only thing I can think of are in recent history, which bear with me, I think it would have been like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers when they had Tony Dungy as their head coach, and they fired him, and then John Gruden came in and won a Super Bowl, right?
Yeah.
And so, like, is that the situation we're looking at? Where like Tony Dungy, for whatever reason, Tony Dungy, great coach, won Super Bowl with Peyton Manning, right? But is it going to take someone else to get the Bills over the hump? And I wonder if Bill fans are thinking that right now. Now, of course, I keep Sean McDermott. He's a great coach, good coach. I just, and he would find a job in a heartbeat. But yeah, would it be a job that he wants? And then is it that situation again? You got to ask yourself, who are we going to, as the Bills organization, who are we going to get to fill that's going to be better than Sean McDermott? So yeah, and I think that's a big question. So I don't think they'll make a move, but I don't know if I would be happy as a Bills fan. We can't beat the Chiefs. We're 0-4 against the Chiefs. Not only that, but we're 0-8 in the playoffs.
It's got to be because they haven't won a Super Bowl.
So yeah, well, I mean, like just losing.
We probably shouldn't say 0-8 because they've at least won a few games. They beat the Ravens, and they've won games in other years too. But as far as the end result, the last game always ends in a loss. So you're right. I agree. I don't think Sean McDermott is going to lose his job, but I definitely think there needs to be some questions and hard conversations had in that area.
Yeah.
So, but the flip side, the Chiefs, they had a slow start to the second half. In the first half, they had 0 punts, and then they start the second half with 2 back-to-back punts. And, there wasn't really a time in the game that I was super nervous, but after that second punt, I thought, if they don't flip it the next time they get the ball, this game's going to get flip in the direction of the Bills.
Yeah.
And so luckily the next time they got the ball, they were able to move it. But I wasn't too worried at that point because we've seen the Chiefs come down from much bigger deficits than 1 point or 2 points.
Oh, yeah.
We've seen them every Super Bowl they've won in the last few years that they've been down by at least 10 points in each of those games. So wasn't worried about it at that point, but definitely was starting to think it and feel it a little bit, just thinking, all right, we got to get it, boys. You got to move it the next time I have the ball. Otherwise, I probably would have been a lot more nervous. So,
and that was probably when we punt the second time there. That was the momentum of the game because the Bills got the ball. They were trapped. They were going, and they could smell blood in the water. They were up by 1. If they would have converted that 4th down, game over. Right? That was going to be hard to come back. Not hard, but not impossible. But still, like, give them the more of the momentum, and it was going to put a lot more pressure on us. But to stop them and then go down and score was a big deal. So
Well, let's talk about a few of our wide receivers too. So first off, we got to give a shout out to all these guys who haven't had much success this year as far as the stats go, like Juju Smith-Schuster, Hollywood Brown's just come back for a few games. DeAndre Hopkins, had one game I think where he had 2 touchdowns, but no big breakout games. But all those guys contributed at least a little bit in this game last night. Juju had some of the biggest plays of the night, and he had 2 of them. So it was great to see a guy like that, getting his flowers.
Now I want a little more ball security, Juju. Just a little more. I don't like. We don't need Shady McCoy out here with the ball one hand running down the field. But it was very happy for him. I think we talked about last time on the podcast, like, we need to give a shout out to like Juju and P. Ryan. P. Ryan had a huge catch. I mean, the guy did it. The guy hadn't played.
You can make an argument that it is the biggest catch of the game because it sealed the game.
Yes. I mean, had not touched the ball 1 time. And they call his number. And it was like, oh my goodness. And so 1 catch, 16 yards, and boom.
Well, let me tell you this. You were correct with everything you said. But this is also what makes Andy Reid the greatest head coach.
Yes.
As a guy who hasn't touched the ball all game is going to be the guy you're going to trust and throw to win the game.
To win it.
I mean, what defense is thinking, okay, we need to make sure we guard the guy who hasn't even touched the ball all game.
Yeah.
They're thinking, where's Travis Kelce? Where's DeAndre Hopkins? Where's Juju even? Where's Xavier Worthy? But you're not thinking, wait, P. Ryan's out here?
Yeah.
So and not JP. Okay, he's fine. He's just in there for an extra blocker, and what do you know, wins the game for us.
Because
fantastic.
and that was like normally he does come in to block on like third downs, right?
Yeah.
He's a great pass blocker, and so he usually comes on third downs to help the offensive line. And so him to sneak out and get it and to stay in bounds, I mean, what a guy! And
Yeah.
just doing the work that we talk about, like no one really appreciates, but doing it and just man, what a game for the wide receivers. But yeah,
Yeah.
so Juju having the two big catches, P Ryan having the big one catch, and who else had a big game?
Well, you know who had a big game? Xavier Worthy. I mean, that guy
Xavier
led
Worthy.
all wide receivers for the Chiefs, that is.
Uh huh.
He led all wide receivers in receiving yards. And so he had 85, actually, not just the Chiefs, all receivers total.
All receivers. Yeah.
85 yards for the game, 7 targets on 6 catches. So pretty good, pretty good. But the best play of the game for him was when they threw that ball on that third down. Mahomes is getting
Yeah.
hit, throws it up there. You think
Yeah.
it's an interception, and as he's coming down, Xavier Worthy, as small of a guy as he is, and we've made mention of this before, like
Yeah.
his big question mark is his size, and this guy, for his size, rips this ball out of this defender's hand
Yeah.
and says, "Not today, sir. This ball is
Yeah.
mine." And
Yeah.
I mean, what a play! And that plays like that, they make Patrick Mahomes trust you even more.
Oh yeah.
They make the ball come your way more because he's like, okay, I know I'm in trouble. I know we have to make a play. Xavier Worthy's down there. I'm going to throw it. He's going to at
Yeah.
least not let it be intercepted, you know. So,
Right.
man, what a play by Xavier Worthy. That was incredible. And so, I mean, the flip side is not to, bang on him too much, but they're in that final drive, though. You know, he runs for that fourth down, and he needs to slide in bounds. Instead, he slid
Yeah.
out of bounds. So, and I understand he was trying to, but you got to be more aware of the field and where you are.
Right.
'Cause, I mean,
Yeah.
if you slide there in bounds, the game's probably over. You don't have to get another first down.
Right.
But so you got to be aware of those things. But I don't want to, harp on him too much because he had a great game.
Oh yeah, he had a great game, and yeah, it's tough. A lot of move around, and so there was a lot of conversation online, and then in the media, even like before the game, that the Bills traded this pick so the Chiefs could get Xavier Worthy.
They did. They did.
So, and how did I mean, they drafted a wide receiver in the first round. I think Coleman. How did he do this game?
Not well. I can tell you that. I think I'll tell you, he
One.
had 1 catch for 12 yards. So, yeah, maybe they should have taken Xavier Worthy. I did hear Xavier Worthy.
Yeah.
I didn't hear it from him, but I heard media reporting that Xavier Worthy mentioned this week that he thought this was a little bit of a grudge match and had a chip on his shoulder because he said the Buffalo Bills passed me up.
Man,
And
hey,
so,
whatever it takes to get it. Yeah. So, I mean, the good news, I know we still got one more game in the biggest game, but
Yes.
it is so exciting to see for the Chiefs. Maybe not for the rest of the NFL, but for the Chiefs that like, hey, we may have our wide receiver room figured out.
yes,
You got Rashid Rice, you got Xavier Worthy, and then Noah Gray is going to be serviceable. And then
Yeah.
who knows else what we're going to do in this draft? I know their offensive line is heavy and running backs are heavy, and so I would suspect that Andy Reid will draft a running back in the second round, and so we'll see who that is.
Yeah.
But
Well,
I know that's a little spoiler. That's a little spoiler, but you
Yeah.
know.
Well, let's not jump too much in the draft
No.
quite yet because we got some more talk about this. But yes, we will cover that stuff. And
Yeah,
I have some other thoughts on that too. But yeah, we'll leave it at that for now.
there you go.
So, but yeah, Xavier Worthy. I mean, you might say
Yeah.
that he is a bona fide star at this point.
Oh yeah,
I mean, the kind of catches he's made last week against the Texans, he made another tough contested catch along the sideline. And so, I mean, that's 2 weeks in a row, both big playoff games in his first NFL playoff game experience, and is making big catches in each of those games.
And I would say he's our number one wide receiver. Like, I mean, he's getting the targets, getting the looks. I mean,
Yeah.
it's not like, and so like they are running plays for him. And so I know they would probably see him and practice and see how electric he is. And when he has the ball, he can really move with it. And so, yeah, I think it's exciting to see for him and happy. I know you and I both had a lot of question marks in the earlier on in the season. Was he going to be durable? Was he going to, is he going to hit the rookie wall? But so far, it seems like he has not.
And for me, at least, I won't speak for you, but for me, at least, my
Yeah.
questions were never about his skill set. It was
Right.
always about his size because of how
Yeah.
small he is. And it's
Right.
like, Tyreek Hill came in that way too, which we've talked about before, and he put on
Yeah.
some weight. So we are hoping that he can do the same thing and be durable.
Yeah.
So but he's held up even through some big hits this year. So hats
Yeah.
off to him. Yeah. So, but thank you, Bills, for another AFC championship. Thank you, Bills, for the draft picks of Patrick Mahomes, Trent McDuffie, and now Xavier Worthy. All those picks came because of trades with you. So hats off to you, Bills. I mean, continue trading with us and being our friend.
Yeah.
We love it. So,
Yeah.
but so the last thing I want to talk about,
All right.
Andy Reid's play calling in the fourth quarter has always been, when he has the lead, run, screen.
Yeah.
And this game, I'm telling you, I don't know if somebody talked to him. I don't know if he's been listening to our
I
podcast.
think he's been listening to the podcast. I think
But
that's
man, that guy was not calling conservative play calls. It's
No.
like he realized for the first time in his career, maybe not first time, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
So he's like, you know what? There's no time to be conservative here. We're going
Right.
for it. And so even in the fourth quarter with the lead, he was calling big plays
Yeah.
down the field, and I love it. I'm here for
Yeah.
it. So, man, I just wanted to make mention of that because we've made mention of the other side of it. Of being too conservative. So I want to also, give flowers where they're due. And so, Andy Reid, he deserves all that and more.
Well, I think Andy Reid knew that Josh would have got him in field goal range, even with no timeouts, and they would have got the ball with like 1:20 or a minute left. He could have got them in field goal range. And a lot can happen. I mean, we saw with the kickoff or punts, a couple years ago against the Eagles with Kadarius Toney, where he made a big run back and then they got in, really, really close to the goal line. So yeah, a lot can happen. So I think Andy Reid wanted to control the game, and he did. He did control the game. Never gave the ball back to the Buffalo Bills.
Absolutely. So last question for you, unless you got something else too. But last question. So can we be done with this refs narrative yet? I mean, I think it's going to get loud. I know people want to talk about it, but here's the problem with this refs narrative. And I know people have to talk about it because the media is talking about it, because the people are talking about it. But we're missing out on the greatness of the situation of something that's never happened in NFL history, a potential 3-time or 3 in a row Super Bowl champion. And this story is getting lost in the background because we're so focused on the refs and what is happening. And so I would just like to make mention, like, hey, don't miss what is happening in front of us. I mean, we're potentially watching NFL history being made, and that may not ever happen again. In about 60 years of Super Bowls, this has never happened. It might be another 60 years before it happens again, so this might be the only time you ever see this in your lifetime.
Yeah.
So don't miss what is happening in front of you. Don't buy into all the narratives of, well, the refs. No, sometimes it's just a good team, and well-coached teams know how to play through those things and how to play with what the refs are and are not calling.
Yeah. And, that the line, when he went on 4th and 1 and we stopped him, there's talks about the different line judge, or the line judges coming at different points. Well, the one line judge that had the first point, he was facing Josh Allen, so they were like looking eye to eye. The other one, the ball, he had Josh Allen had his back to him, and so like who had the better angle? I would say the guy that was looking at Josh Allen directly in the face, and he came and marked him short. And so I think that's another thing fans need to understand about the rules. When they call something on the field and they go and review it, it has to be clear and obvious to overturn it, And so I think that was the one big thing, clear and obvious. And so when you got Chris Jones standing in front of the play, you got Josh Allen holding the ball like this, you can't really see where the ball is, and you got just body parts everywhere. And so, maybe hand it off to James Cook and let him get like a 3-yard gain, or maybe don't make it so close, Josh Allen. Maybe, so just like make it like where it's no doubt, and the Chiefs have been on the wrong side of calls, but I don't feel like we cry about it too often because, Kadarius Toney was offsides. Ford was offsides, we get more mad and angry at them. Like, would we like the ref to let it go? Of course, but we also understand the letter of the law. You got to call it. And so, but I think with it's clear and obvious.
Yeah. Well, and what's been said for years and years, and this is not new for us or for anybody else, has been said long before we were here, is don't let the refs decide the game.
Exactly.
Which means you make the plays you need to make, and it doesn't matter what the refs call because you've done what you need to do.
Right.
If you're relying on the refs, then it doesn't matter. But the big thing about this story that's come out this last week is Adam Schefter, who is the NFL insider, so to speak.
Oh,
And I
yeah.
use that term now, so to speak, because he's not being very unbiased in his media presentation. He's a guy who breaks news to people
Right.
about, signings and free agents and new
Yeah, yeah,
rules.
yeah.
And I mean, just anything NFL that's breaking news, he's the guy that usually has it first.
Right.
And he put out just this week, and he wrote out there and says, hey, the NFL is looking to start reviewing all these plays now, including when quarterbacks slide. And he used the example of Patrick Mahomes sliding
Yeah.
to say this is what we're talking about. It's like he's not the only quarterback in the league who
No.
does this, nor is he the one who was sliding and getting up and calling for it, right?
No.
And so, but yet we're
No.
calling
Yeah.
it out, and so that makes it even louder when these guys who have such a big platform
Right.
misinform the general
Yeah.
public about what is being called fair and unfair and biased
Right.
and unbiased. So,
And
yeah, it's not good.
no, and I think in that situation, especially against the Texas situation where he did slide and then they came down on him, which
Yeah.
they were diving down at him. He was trying to protect himself.
Yes.
And that's every player on the field has the right to do that. Try to protect yourself. And so I think Mahomes was trying to protect himself in that. I don't think he was looking for the flag because it would have been second and 5 instead of, and then we got 15 yards. I don't think it was that. So I think that was the media talking about that is just terrible.
Yeah.
Because I don't think Mahomes was not fishing for a personal foul. He was protecting himself from getting blown up.
Yeah.
Because 300-pound guys were going to kill him. And so
Yep.
he got down, and I don't think he would have, if they wouldn't have called it, I don't think he would have went right to the huddle and boom, next play. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Should he slide a little bit earlier? Maybe. But either way, he's still protecting himself, and it doesn't need to be blown out proportion. So,
Yeah. Well, yeah. Don't get me started. All right. Because I see Josh Allen, I see Lamar Jackson, doing that RPO, taking it and running it, get the first down. And as soon as 3 guys are around him, they slide.
yeah.
And so
That's
it's like,
absolutely right.
And Mahomes did, I'm like, that's just, okay, that's part of the game. And so let them give themselves up.
Yep. Yep. Absolutely. So, hey,
You got me all worked up. You got me all worked up, bud.
I know.
I mean,
But hey,
like,
the Chiefs
victory.
are the 2024 season AFC champions. I don't know about this, but all I know is our podcast is undefeated. So
Undefeated,
far
baby.
in this podcast, we are Super Bowl champions and nothing short of that. So, hey, thanks for joining us this episode of the Kingdom Corner. We're here to celebrate all week long and for the next 2 weeks the AFC champions Kansas City Chiefs as they head to New Orleans to take on the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 59, a rematch of Super Bowl 57. So, and we'll preview that coming up here as well. So, but this episode is brought to you by Oh Hey Threads. So you can get your own super soft tee or hoodie or even your own hat, even Chief style hat.
All right.
At ohheythreads.com. We'll see you next time right here in the Kingdom Corner.